Welcome to A Conversation with Tobias by Lennoxon Parker. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell us more about where that name came from. That's an interesting name.
Yes,
Is it in George St. James?
No, it's St. James, SNT JMS.
Okay.
And it's we came into the Enjoy St. James came around because we was really trying to find St. James on the IG, and it was like everybody had it, but nobody was posting nothing with it.
Okay.
So the fist fight. But my middle name is James.
Okay.
And I always felt like that was the best part of me. That was my good side. You know what I'm saying? And my government name, that's my bad side, because I be fighting in school all the time because people try to tease me because you got a girl's name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jimmy?
No, Lauren.
Oh, okay.
So
like that,
James, my middle name, so the homies would call me Jimmy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? St. Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay. So fight on one side and
man.
Yeah, love it on the other
That's
side.
right, it's my strong side, right? Because we was kind of raised in the Motown house, so a lot of James Brown.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Dope.
And so it's like, that's the Godfather. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So that's your strong side.
Okay.
Right? And Lauren is like, that's your soft side, that's your tender side.
Got it.
Right?
So talk to me more about that. You being raised in a Motown house. Like, how was that like growing up, and what you
It was beautiful.
towards?
It was beautiful. I'll be 1,000. Like, I'm grateful for it today because my pop had to sacrifice a lot for us.
Right.
And coming from Detroit, they didn't have much.
Okay.
But they he taught us how whatever you are is enough. And long as you good, you got everything you need.
Okay.
So he turned us into a find a way family. Like, you got an issue, you got something you got to sort out, you got to find a way. And it's been that ever since, really.
Man, so your family moved from Detroit and moved out here to California, and that's where you were born and raised, or you were?
I'm first generation California.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So, and I'm all of my my cousins and my brother. So there's 4 boys and 3 girls that all got born once their parents got here,
right?
And they came from Detroit. So I'm the youngest of those 4 boys.
Okay.
And we just helped raise each other. I mean, I love my cousins and my brother. I mean, my cousins and me are crazy close. They raised us like brothers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just tight. And my girl cousins all below me, like, all of them are just bright, beautiful, just fantastic people. I love hanging out with them.
And how's your family feel about your music and your endeavors now that you're doing artistically?
It's hard to say. You know what I mean? Like, I think for the most part, because I've been doing music for a long time, and my big uncle, like, all of my family does music. My auntie sings, my uncle plays drums, my brother's a producer, my pop plays congas, he plays bass, he plays piano. Like, I mean,
really?
my family gets loose, right? We'll do Motown karaoke on a holiday and be cutting up, man. It's great. So, I mean, even my granddaddy used to play on the circuit, on the blues circuit with Muddy Waters. Like, his guitar game was strong.
Wow.
So it's just that thing, right? It's like, when you love it, you got to go for it. And so I think my family being musicians, they're like, yeah, you got to go for it. You got to make bread too. You got to live. You got to support yourself. But it's a lot of beautiful support structures that get built into us as kids. I mean, even my uncle taught us about Kwanzaa. Is like something I'm bringing my wife into. You know what I'm saying? Like, something I want to bring into my business, something I want to bring into, like, all the relationships that I build. And without that, I feel like we would be navigating without so good of a compass. So those things really help, in your creative process, to say, listen, how am I operating? Am I operating with integrity? Is this helping my self-determination, or is it limiting myself? Right. So just, trying to be mind expanding and be exceptional in all things.
But listening to your music and your songs, I can hear all of that embodied into the words, into the production, into the music. It's like a soulful pumpkin pie. Like, I keep eating it, like, oh, this is so good. No, but for real, like, your music is really really that, comparing you to, like, not no one really like Drake or like Mos Def or Common, but your sound is so well rounded.
Mm.
You can almost hear the different what do you call it? Different influences
The
you have
influences,
over
yeah.
the years that you grew up on in your music, because it goes from singing to not just rapping, but the wordplay, the artistry that goes through it.
Yes, sir.
And you're carefully curating your sound with even the instrument you choose.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm grateful. You know, my team is strong. You know, shout out to David Kim, who just helps me become a better artist.
Right.
You know, he's a phenomenal engineer, phenomenal like co-executive producer. Like he's gonna help you get the best of yourself. So he's solid like that. Shout out to him. But it's a lot of love that goes into it. But in order to love a thing, you got to know a thing. So you got to study, you got to do your homework, right? And really see your best come out. But even in yourself, you got to study yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, right? What makes you who you are, right? And so, and then when you get into that space, you stop answering to what the audience want or what the crowd want. You start really answering to that inner child. It's like, hey, I want to give you your space and give you your voice, right? And so there's a freedom in there and a playfulness in there that should let you be able to be goofy and fun and creative without no judgment, right? And so you're trying to nurture that. And so hopefully in that space, you could just let all those sounds come out, but you are a product of your influences. So there should be threads of your influences in your tapestry, right? But they can't make up the whole thing, right? Because that's just biting styles, right?
Well, we all, yeah.
But we all have influences.
Yeah, we all do.
So, you know, and this is where representation shows up so well, is like, well, if they can do it like that, oh, that give me a lane. That means I could do it my way, and it's okay, it's accepted, right? And so a lot of my transition into getting into hip hop was just, initially I was very standoffish with it. Like I was very protective of hip hop for sure.
Huh.
I
How so? Like what example?
Like I love hip hop. I wouldn't even never touch a pen in the pad because I'm just like, what I was doing at the time, my poetry at the time wasn't good enough. Like compared to like a Hove or like, you know, even like back then, like Cube, like some of the greats.
Right.
You don't need my pen if greats are already making this exceptional. But then the nature of hip hop started to change.
Right.
And who y'all putting on the stage, they no longer speaking for all of us. They're not representing us, right? They're kind of pigeonholing hip hop on what they're selling and not what it is, right? And so then there became a call, then there became a need. And so, and that's what they say about genius sparks out of the greatest need, out of the greatest pressure. So I felt like in this space, the way hip hop had been treated, oh, now there's a need for my genius in this space or for my creativity in this space. And so then it was like, I want to bring hip hop back her true self. How do I do that? How do I represent, right? How do I show on a musical scale, but on a global scale, but on a personal scale? How do I show what hip hop really is compared to what they're selling?
What's selling, right?
Right.
Do you remember when you first picked up the pen seriously to do it? And what was the thought process in your mind at the time? Like, were you like, I want to be the biggest artist in the world. I want to be signed to Def Jam. I want to, rock the stage. I want to talk to me about that. How, because I never heard that story from you. So I want to know,
So I have been making music since I was 19. And then sometimes we put it down to make sure that we can feed ourselves.
Oh.
So I went out, I got a degree, and I learned a lot of things. But when your music is in you, it's in you. You can't shake it off.
Right.
Okay. So then I found myself back into a space where I was like desperate to create again. And then I connected with some people, some good people, great people. And we started to create again. And then I found my voice hitting up against a wall where I felt like my culture and the nature of my relationship with the people and my personhood was being challenged by social boundaries. Like, okay, you making music, but are you making music for us? And I had to ask myself, am I? Right. And so then something changed, right? It was like, you know what? I owe it to my culture to create for my culture, but I have to do this my way. I have to do this with everything I know.
Right.
because we can't sacrifice anything for authenticity, because then you just, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's not how it's done.
No.
There's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. So to be perfectly fair, once I had that desire to create again, and I was like, you know what, I was working on, and dude, I love writing. I love wordplay.
I can hear it in your music.
Man. But I needed to sharpen my pen game up, because if I was going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Right.
Okay, do it well. So my first joint ever that I finished from start to finish was called Jealous. But before that, I had done like 6 freestyles, and I was working in Venice on Abbot Kinney at a spot called Neighbor.
Okay.
And one of my OGs had owned the joint, and he was inviting us in to see how we could add some value to the space. And we just had a late night dance session in there. The music was on. He was just testing out the speaker system. We was vibing. A joint came on from K Tronada, and I just started freestyling. And and my wifey had turned the voice memo on, because she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it. He's getting into his zone."
Really?
She turned it on, and I just caught a vibe for probably like 6 minutes, just going nuts. And then came back and listened to it. That joint became a song called Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, illest nigga alive.
Okay.
Whoa. And all that whole story came out just basically off the top of my head. And I was like, if you could channel this,
imagine what you do.
Right? Imagine if you work your ass off and put it into it.
Put some time into that, cultivate it, coordinate it.
Yeah. So I did a bunch of freestyles. I did one that was like one of my favorite joints too. The lovely Maharashi. She has just a beautiful voice, and she had this open 16. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I'm killing that. I'm cutting that up. And it just came to me.
Wow.
And so I found myself in a space where it's happening through me, and I can recognize it when it happens, but I want to be able to make sure I can be consistent in the space. So then it was just right. 2 16s a day that whole summer. And then that just carried on. It was like a 2-page a day minimum.
Wow.
That I just had to be writing. It's still part of my practice today.
So every day you try to write?
Every day it's my, my regimen is a physical workout, a mental workout, spiritual workout. Okay. So give me some meditation time in on my spiritual workout. Give me some prayer time in. On my mental workout is reading and writing. Let me get some pages written. Let me get some pages read. And on my physical workout is, we gonna get in the
gym. On a spiritual side, right? Just to go over that a little bit. How have you seen that like balance or help your life in any, like, as you grow in life, as you go through changes from 19 to where you are now, your spirituality, a lot of people don't really like focus on that. They just tend to go through the moment. We go through the motions in life.
Sure.
We leave home, we start a family or not, or we just try to get money.
Yeah.
We're focused. And it's not a fault on any one of us. It's more like life happens. And when life happens, sometimes we don't take a moment to stop and to check the temperature of the room.
For sure.
We just go, because we got to pay the bills. We got to make sure we have to live.
Right.
So my question to you is more like, with your spirituality, how has that helped you along the way? How has that been a part of your life?
Yeah, definitely. Because especially as a Black man culture, we get rewarded for being a human doing, and we get reprimanded for being a human being. Right?
I like that.
Right. So we have to find our own space with that, because if everyone else get to dictate who you are based on how they feel, well, that's your true master. Right. And so to eliminate, Run the Jewels and Killer Michael say, kill your masters, right? Because it is about self-determination.
Right.
How can I determine what's best for me, my family, and then execute on those missions? So then it really became about, how well do you know yourself? We're in a society that is designed with social media to constantly place a lack in you. That's what marketing is. Marketing is, you don't have this, don't you want it? Right. And so that's what we look at all day long. We in a social media marketplace, and constantly being compared to, and a lack of being placed in us to turn us into a consumer. So the antithesis of that is to center back into yourself, to say, I am enough. I'm good just where I'm at. I'm okay. I don't need to buy anything. I don't need to add anything to me. I'm good enough. But if you can't take enough time to just settle down, I don't need more. I got everything I am is more than enough, right? We don't take that time because it's not rewarded for us on a fiscal level,
right?
But on a mental level, on a mental health level, how often do we take a time to just pat ourselves on the back? Look how far you come. Yeah. Every hurdle you've been through, every challenge you've been through, you're undefeated. And we never take a moment to say, "Damn, you know what? We've come a long way."
As a man, as Black men, yeah, we don't get that.
We don't get that
at all. Like,
right?
Just being able to be alive and breathe and and be a success as a man. I mean, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To this society,
Right.
what does that mean for us? You know,
Right.
does it mean that we have to achieve a certain status in wealth or a certain status in society?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think those measures, right, really boil down to your own knowledge of self. You know what you're capable of when you really take the time to ask, right? But we're just not taught to believe in ourselves like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We taught to have faith in God, right? And it's very like pieced out. Faith in God, and that's the culture, that's Black American culture.
Right.
Okay, right. But then we've been let down by the church many times. Okay. But that shouldn't remove your faith. That's religion. That's not faith, right? Correct. And so let's dial into what faith really means in the space. Like, faith is your weapon against fear, against doubt. Faith and preparation, or faith and works, or your left and right in the ring against fear and doubt. So how are you employing those things to make sure you getting your get back, right? And ideally, just as a man, if you don't have those weapons in space, somebody else is dictating those things for you. Right? Your own value, what you're capable of. I mean, that's just a no-no, right? You can't let anybody dictate your own value.
No, it shouldn't.
Right? So when you know yourself, no one can. You know what I'm saying? I have a saying I tell with my wife all the time. That's okay. I'll let time tell my story for me, because my consistency is going to be the thing that is unwavering. I'm going to keep being who I am, keep what I am, keep improving myself, so that time will tell my story for me. We don't got to argue.
No, it's true.
Mm-hmm. But I think to better answer your question, though,
right,
taking a little time to like just decompress, ask yourself the tough questions, just learning how the breath and understanding of the breath helps you control your mind, gain more mental discipline, regulate your emotions. Those are weapons in the world that you need. You know what I mean?
Daily weapons. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because in a man's world, it's discipline, right? And stay cool. Because if you lose your temper and you react to energy, you become the villain. No matter how good you were trying to be or what your intention was. So we tell every man that's in a marriage, hey, stay cool, right? Because it's going to cost you. It's cheaper to keep her. They say things like that, right?
Yeah.
Those are slogans and things that they put off to you, but they don't teach you about the actual discipline necessary in that space.
To stay cool.
Right? Why should you stay cool? What does that even mean to stay cool? Yeah. Does that mean don't defend yourself? Does that mean not setting boundaries? No. Just stay cool and don't let nobody dictate your energy. So, coming back to it, I think it's a really important lesson for all men to understand, but mostly Black men, as they are under the most duress as far as what they produce and how they react. There's already so much media about, well, you know, them Black men are awfully aggressive.
I know, right?
Right.
How do you take that and infuse that into your music and find the balance between I hate to say it like this, but commercialism and I don't want to use the word ideologism, but like commercialism and your truth, I would say.
Sure.
Like, because you, again, there's a business and then there's the art,
right?
And the two don't normally, like oil and water, sometimes they don't really merge well together. You got to find the right chemistry,
right,
to make that work for you. So how do you, in this time, 2024, digital age, social everything, how do you find that balance to make sure your voice is not drowned out or lost in this time?
Right. So you can only do what you can do. You do the very best you can with what you have. And so, but learning business is a necessary acumen. You didn't come into the world with sound business sense. You know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? But you might have came into the world with a savvy for numbers or savvy for service. Right. Okay. So you leverage those things. If you came in the world with a passion for music and notes and the energy that gets shared on stage, like myself, you got to figure out a way to leverage that. That's just you making the best of you. Right. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But in the space of the industry, the music industry is designed to devour and take ownership of your natural creativity, of your self-expression. That's a no-no. We had to learn that the hard way, and a lot of people have been isolated and made famous. We're going to elevate you from the pack. So now you're a have and no longer a have not, right? And then that's going to create some loyalty to whoever gave you that crown, okay? Well, tell you what, if I can't get a seat at the table, that's fine. I'll build my own table. I got perfectly good hands. These are God-given hands right here. Tell me what I can't build.
Build this table up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it stops becoming about, I was always told, the most powerful man in the room is the one who don't need nothing.
True.
And so if I don't need a contract, those things are no longer my desires. I'll tell you what it is, a desire. My desire is to better self-determine, to create as I see fit, to operate in the best interest of my culture, my art form, my family, and of course myself, right? So those tenets, look, if it don't never sell 1 million platinum records, is that supposed to be a statement of my value?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't listen to it and tell me this don't get down.
Oh no, that's the point. That's,
right.
That's far from. That's your music is better than a lot of people that sign and on Billboard and charting right now. I mean, but it's always been that way in the industry where people who really create the real art.
Right.
You'll find one person or a group of people with talent, and then they'll find someone to go and extract 1% of that talent and take it back to, and then make that. Oh, this is a big thing, dude. We've been doing this for like forever over here, for real.
For sure.
We've seen it on movies and in time periods where Elvis and
the Beatles.
Yeah, we've seen it.
The Stones. Yeah.
They come and they take, and then they go, and it's like what? So, and even today, like in today's culture, there was some talk about Drake and what's his name, Mos Def was talking about that,
and I love that conversation.
Oh, that conversation's deep.
It's deep.
And but Mos Def has always been that guy.
Always.
He's never and I won't even use the word sellout because I don't even think that's on the level of as far as Drake is concerned. Like I want to be respectful as far as that, but it can't be about money. Like when you're talking about life, you're talking about art and talent. A lot of people like to measure. Oh, well, he's a bigger artist. He's a international. He's a
Sure.
It's not about that.
Sure.
It's about humanity. What are you going to say and do when it's your time to show up?
Yeah, man. I appreciate. First of all, Moses is one of my. It's one of the dudes that makes me want to do it, right? Yeah. Or one of those dudes that I was fearful to get into it because I'm like, I'm not going to be better than most. I'm so grateful for my brothers who is like, hey, don't say that. You don't know.
Oh, but you're good though. You're like, I'm telling you, good.
But to be in the conversation, right, is more than enough. I give all honor and praise to the hip hop. It has a culture of we stand on the shoulders of the men that came before, men and women that came before us. It's never about belittling them for your own gain. It is about recognizing them. Without them, I wouldn't be here, right? And that's the culture that we have to make sure that we protect. I mean, severely. But so the conversation regarding most get loose with anybody. Don't ever, you know what I'm saying? Anybody saying that, oh, who's this guy? Don't ever disrespect that man because that's one of the most talented MCs on planet Earth, period. And it's not a disrespect to Drake. Drake just decided to shift from being bar-centric He wanted to test his artistry. Okay, go ahead, test your artistry. But understand, as you serve a greater purpose, do you alienate your home? Right? And who are you really creating for now? Sometimes they want to create for the ladies. Go ahead. That's fine. If you want to run a business, Scorpion had 152 tracks on it. I couldn't even make it through the whole record. And they were saying, "Oh yeah, it was a thing so that you can get more streams."
Right.
And I'm like, that's who we answer to now?
Yeah. That's
your new daddy is Spotify?
Spotify streams, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Don't disrespect my culture like that. It's not mine alone.
Right.
But I take responsibility for it. It's not more mine than yours.
Right.
But that don't mean it's less mine. This is my culture.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to disrespect my culture or sell us off like that, like we don't matter, like we don't got nothing to say. And furthermore, I don't need no fucking permission slip to represent in my own culture. Not from you, not from nobody, right?
Yep.
So, and cats are going to say like, oh, you know what you need? You need a banger like Drake. Tell you what, Drake have all the bangers. Mm-hmm. But you know what nobody's going to be able to say? That Jimmy didn't do it from his heart.
True.
And didn't give it his 100 to us. And when you come to a show, when you had a live show, and you see that full-blown, I'm releasing a lot of energy in that space because that's my home, man. And if anybody take their time, spend their hard-earned money to come out and see your boy, I'm going to give them everything I got. You know what I
mean? As you should, because that's you're giving your heart.
You're giving your heart. Right.
And no disrespect to Drake on what he is doing, but we've seen it time and time again when like you said, they take one out and alienate the rest of us in this space, and it's like that's not for me. When I listen to music, if I don't hear growth, I don't care how big it is on the radio. I can't listen to it. After 1 or 2 or 3 albums, if I can't hear that artist grow as an individual, to me, it's not music, it's not art, it's not real anymore. You're just going through the process of doing what you're doing.
For sure.
Because I had a conversation with my son the other day, and we were talking about, Drake, his stuff is banging. He's 19, so he's like, Drake is. I said, no. I said, he's not showing any growth. When you compare him to Michael Jackson or Stevie Wonder or any of those guys, their music transcends time because they grow with the time. They're not talking about the same thing on all the albums. Yeah, the content is love or relationships. We get that. But if I can't see growth on your part, you were 19 when you started, now you're 37, 38.
Right.
The sound is the same. You're talking the same thing. You're trying to compete with the younger, you're not doing nothing to yourself but a disservice.
And that's fair. Don't get me wrong. We all got a handful of Drake songs in our top list because he got bangers, right? But I mean, from when he first came up and his mixtapes and the joints he was doing back then, that ignorant shit he did when he did ignorant shit with the remix with Wayne. I know every word to that song. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
but he had his time in that space.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying is I'm not going to disrespect his artistry, right?
No.
We understand him to be a great artist. It's just what he's producing at the moment in time. It's just like Mos said. There's so many SKUs. There's so many products. You know what I mean? It's like that really did articulate it well for me.
Yeah, it did.
Because you selling a lot of things, right?
And to me, just because you're an artist and that you're talented in what you do, it doesn't mean that it's going to be great.
Oh, for sure.
I remember listening to a song Boyz II Men did that Brian McKnight produced, and I hated it. I said, just because Brian McKnight's a good producer doesn't mean that Boyz II Men can sing that song. It doesn't. Some things, even though it looks good and it feels good, doesn't sounds good, doesn't mean it's going to go well together. And so, to me, when I look at the current state of hip hop right now, it's kind of that. It's like, okay, it looks shiny, it looks great, but the essence is gone.
Essence is missing.
It's so soulless right now. And no disrespect to any particular person, I say that's because there's no more A&R.
The A&R shifted, but the industry shifted.
It shifted.
Right.
It shifted, but I'm saying like back in the day, and I hate to go back and say back in the day, but I have to, because back in the day, you couldn't get to a certain place until you passed a certain process. And the process is what's messing up the game, because there is no process anymore. It's just strictly give me your song, I'll plug it in, and now you're on. There's no, there's no, let me refine you some more. Because I remember when Nicki Minaj came out. Nicki Minaj was on at least 3 or 4 mixtapes before she had her first single out. And by the time she got her first single out, she was on a single with Drake and Wayne, the Young Money situation, before her album came out. So she went through a process for like 6 or 7 years of getting to know who she is as a person, refining her image and refining whatever. Artists today don't have that process. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them skip that process. And I'm not blaming them. I'm saying the industry is set up in a way where it's more about the money than it is about the craft, and you have to find a balance somewhere, you know, and that, you know.
Right. And so, yeah, that's a whole can of worms, right?
It is.
Right. So then, do we just give up? And we stop creating, right? No, we don't. We just stop needing them to create for, right? Like as if the only way to get on was to get a deal. Okay, well, your deal right now don't hold water. Okay, you talking about taking ownership of my intellectual property? Like I can't just look. There's a lot of artists out there just doing direct to consumer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the language will change once we understand our own power. And once we take that, we don't need you. This is ours, effectively. Let me tell you what would happen to Nike stock if all black people right now just decided to stop buying Nikes. Zero. You would drop off. We make it hot, and when we understand our own power, when we understand what we give value to, and once that thing becomes ourselves, and we stop fighting amongst ourselves over these scraps from the table, it becomes, oh, the strength of the fist will overpower the finger, right? And then and this is what the whole like Nobodyville mantra is like. We will collectively disappear into oneness, right? And then we'll be so much stronger and effective in how we pursue our goals, our dreams, and protecting our communities, all of the above. Once we stop letting somebody else dictate your value and your power, right? Damn. And it's so dirty. But
I like that.
But anything worth having is worth fighting for. So put your gloves on, like, let's go to work. If you can go to work building somebody else's castle like that, is your labor different for yourself? Building your own castle? No, it should be twice as much.
I think it comes down to a mindset shift. We're going to shift out where we look at things, how we value things. I think a lot of people want the easy way in. They've been sold the idea that if you get a record deal or you get signed or you get this, your life is going to be so much better. And I say it's not. And that's why a lot of artists, after their first album, they change. They've done something to their lives that it just messes them up. And so now they're a different person. And, you know, in order to retain your integrity, you have to know yourself, and you have to, for lack of better words, not sell out. If you want to, you know, because in essence, it's about longevity. It's not about just selling a record today and getting $1 million. It's about you want to. Well, for some people, you know, everybody don't have the same goals. Some people want to get in and get out. You know what I'm saying? So,
but if we're listening to the greats before us, didn't Hov give us so much game on?
They're still here.
Didn't Hov give us so much game on? Hey, I'm a businessman, not a business
man. I know,
you know what I'm saying? So, and just he's been showing like how do you make sure you leverage your art, your fame, your notoriety into making sure that you can capitalize and continue to make smart fiscal business sense. But that means constantly having to grow and answer the questions that you don't know, right? Damn, I don't know how to turn this into a business. We'll find out. Seek mentorship. You know what I'm saying? Do we not have access to all that on YouTube right now? Right, we can get answers, right?
TikTok,
right. And so here we have this beautiful culture, hip hop culture. We're finally getting a chance to see hip hop grow up. Right?
Man.
What a beautiful thing, right? Now it's just put 6 records out with Hit Boy. Some of the greatest of his era. Some of the greatest music he's ever put out. It's fantastic. You know, Hov's still doing records, but now he's in the film industry, so they're conquering a whole nother level of entertainment, right? God Did was one of the craziest verses we heard from a mogul, right? But he's still giving game out. He's still teaching. Kendrick and Cole, Kendrick's record is basically therapy on wax.
All of them.
Right?
Yeah.
And Cole's record is now talking about, I'll be in sneakers and sweats. My God, I don't got to shine up for nobody. I run my own town. Dreamville is mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I built my own. Right. And I didn't sacrifice. I put people on.
Right.
I went out and sought JID. I went out and found him. You know what I'm saying?
This is how you build. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's there. It's there. But we got to make sure that we're in it for the right reasons. I don't celebrate Cole because he's famous. I celebrate because he's good.
He's real.
He's absurdly good, right?
Yeah.
And Kendrick, if you make a bad song, we're allowed to say that's a bad song. But if you make a great record, like he challenges some of our internal conversations to say, like, my guy, what was you looking for? It's only way you can listen to music if it's about killing somebody that looked like you, or having a dysfunctional, toxic relationship with your old lady or with your old man or whatever.
Right.
Or if you're only selling yourself for somebody else's version, if you just shaking ass.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So like, look, I love these resistances to somebody else's some Jewish cats or some label owners' determination of what hip hop is.
Right.
Baby, that's not even yours.
No, it's not even yours.
Right. So hold on. Like, I love you. I love you for putting, there's more than enough for everyone to go and do what they need to do. And if you got on this way, I'm not mad about it. Kudos to you, my guy. Live and breathe. But make sure you maintain your integrity, because it will be tested.
And live your truth.
And live your truth, baby.
That's what I want, then fine. Say that and be that. But,
So we have this beautiful opportunity right now.
Yeah.
Is to say, we have the blueprints and the game plans, but are you really ready to do that work? Right. And so for myself, it's a Busta Rhymes level delirium in believing in myself.
Right.
And when I tell you, time will tell my story for me. There will be a time when we get to celebrate this young man's genius, not in a boastful way, but trust me when I tell you, when I put my heart and sweat and tears into this work, it's because I love it. You know what I'm saying? And any other point in time, maybe a lesser man would have given up. It's great to sit with you, man. It's great to talk.
Yeah, it is. It is to build, man. Like,
man.
I needed this because I looking for a community and trying to work with people like yourself. This is what the whole magazine is about. And my whole process is not about looking for celebrities, but celebrating people that do the work and that have a vision and a goal and a mindset that for our community, for us, not to exclude other communities, but to be around people like yourself that's creative, honest, just a good person. And I don't want to use that lightly, but seriously, a good person at heart is what I strive to highlight, or Black excellence, I call it, to showcase. Because we don't see that enough in our community. We see all of the celebrities, of course, and all of the, but we don't see enough of us behind the scenes working, the hairstylists, the makeup artists, the plumbers, the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, the janitors.
Right.
People that on a daily basis would give you advice, inspiration, motivation, that we don't celebrate enough. And this is what I intend to do with this. So, sitting here with you today is a blessing. It's a blessing.
My God.
How we connected on Instagram, to sitting here in person. It's a blessing. Like, honestly, I can say that it's a blessing.
Man, just shout out to you for your bravery, man, your courage. You know what I mean? You betting big on yourself. And, there's no way you could get me to not celebrate that. That's what we live for, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait to lift my brothers up for going after it.
Me too.
Right?
Me
you
too,
see what I'm saying? So, like,
I want to see you win.
That's on 1,000
right there, man.
Right?
I want to see you win.
And I think it's a big thing that became a thorn in my side was, don't want to see somebody win and not be willing to do something so that they win. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like, well, listen, I'm rooting for you, man. But I ain't never bought a ticket. I ain't never bought a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. You don't got to spend your money.
Yeah.
But did you talk about this person in rooms they couldn't be in?
Right.
Did you introduce them to people? You know, I got a guy that you really need to meet. He's really talented. There's so much more to it's faith and works, right? Faith is believing it, right? But then do something that shows that you believe in it, right? Because or else it's just, you know, smoke and mirrors.
It is.
You know what I mean? Shadows and dust. We don't got time for that.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So all out of love, man, all out of genuine, sincere love. There is such a thing as Black excellence, and it's on display right now, man. You know what I mean? Like you just deciding that you want to do something, you have a dream, you have a vision, and you go after it. So a lot of what we're doing over here, just as a man, I learned these lessons like probably early 23, I learned that your 3 greatest weapons in life, loyalty, faith, and gratitude. And I was like, and I had to learn them the hard way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a solution to every problem you got.
Yeah.
Which one of these things is this a problem of? Is this a problem of loyalty or discipline? Loyalty to the vision, loyalty to yourself, loyalty to the things that serve your purpose? Is this an issue of faith, not believing in yourself enough? Okay. Or letting fear do the driving?
Right.
Or is this a lesson of gratitude? Are you not being grateful for what you've been given already that you can celebrate in your life? You see what I'm saying?
That's why I tell people all the time. If I can't trust God enough, where He brought me this far in my life,
interesting.
What am I doing? Like,
what you look like doubting now?
What am I exactly? And He's about to bless me with so much more. And even if He doesn't, I'm so grateful for what I had and what I have. It's like just even being through COVID in the last few years. Not me, but just the whole time period.
The planet.
You know, and to be alive today,
man,
it's a blessing. And whatever else that happens tomorrow, that's gonna be a blessing too. So just in today, right now, sitting here with you is a blessing. Like it's a time and space that was meant to be, and we made it happen. And that's a blessing because it enriches my life.
For sure.
Not for content, but I'm just saying, our conversation we're having. I know we're gonna build and do more, but just to give you your flowers while you're still here and you're building, because a lot of times, and I like to use practicality, right? So when I was younger, did some construction work, and when you're building, people use the term a lot, I'm gonna build, but if you actually do construction work and you actually lift up bricks and you actually lift up concrete blocks and you're building that, you're sweating, and you will, at some point, you get thirsty. And someone could hand you a glass of water or something to drink for a minute, and you take a minute and you, man, life is serious. And so if I'm building with you and I see where you are right now, and I'm giving you your flowers and I'm uplifting you, that's me showing my gratitude towards you. And that's what I'm trying to do at this moment right now. Is like say, man, this guy right here, man, I don't need the world to tell me that this guy's great. I know he's great. Hey, I don't need the world to tell me. No, my ears ain't failing me.
Right.
And I'm being honest, you know what I'm saying? Even down to your clothing brand, which I want to talk about next. Like, tell me more about that. Like how did that come about?
Yeah, man. So it was an operation in solidarity. And then I just, you know, I'm also a creative, you know, I'm trying to find ways to just better express myself. But in the clothing, it was like this. You know, so when we first started doing music, we learned the hard way we should have merch. Okay, so then when I was getting back into music, I said, you know, talk to me about, you know, getting the tour manager. And she was like, baby, tell you what, the first thing you handle for yourself, this was a good friend of mine. She said, get yourself some merch. Don't even have a show if you don't got merch. I was like, okay, cool. So we went and got some merch for St. James. St. James had merch and it was like, cool. We got t-shirts, we're doing the thing. But then it gave me this lane like, okay, well, can you make something that's just for us that don't got your name or your face on it? Can you just make something that's for us and ours?
Right.
And I was like, if I had a chance to build it, what would I want to say?
Right.
So, and what would I want that identity to be that I want to give people? I want to give you identity that says, together we're better, we're stronger together, and you don't have to be the hero of the story, right? When you know, so Nobodyville is a combination of two phrases. Nobody lives forever, and it takes a village.
I like that. I love that.
A concept of egolessness. Listen, nobody gonna live forever, so contribute. Do something while you're here. Right. Build something. Help somebody. And it takes a village to do anything great. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Right. So lean on your brothers, lean on your sisters, like invite them to add their talent and their genius into a space. And don't exclude yourself from that. Right. Like, oh, I'm not got to do it all myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? That lone pack, that lone wolf mentality really does. It's fine if you want to go fast.
Yeah.
But we need to go far because we're a long way from home. Right.
Yeah.
And we do that together.
Right.
But on the simplest concept, you know what I'm saying? This was always the symbol for Black excellence.
Right.
And this is the simplest concept, all of our individuality brought together, right? And suddenly the faces disappear.
Right.
You'll be surprised what you can get done when nobody needs the credit.
Right.
True, yeah. Just executing on the vision.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of this was so that we could operate in solidarity. If we show up on a thing, it'd be like a pack of elephants. Everyone's going to have to move out the way. But a pack of elephants, part of their defense system is you can't tell who's who because they all rocking together, right?
I like that.
And that's where our strength is. So it's not about me, it's about us. And if I can help build that thing, it's got to be the same concepts we talking about. We're not changing lanes. You know what I'm saying? It's the same things we're talking about, just showing up in different forms of self-expression.
Right.
When you talk about the four pillars of hip hop, it could be more, but most people understand it as DJ, the turntable, the mic, the lyrics, right? Breakdancing and graffiti, right? And I would even add to that fashion,
of course,
because all of it is self-expression, right? All 5 of those moments is the self-deciding. Damn, I'm gonna add to this moment with what I have, and the culture is thriving on spaces like that, right?
It is.
But this, on the flip coin of that is now understand how do you monetize those things? How do you market those things? How do you innovate that space? Now that's the next 5, right? The next 5 pillars, right?
Yeah.
And that's our coin. That's also how we between these 2 things, this is the coin for self-determination. Yeah. This is how we get to where we decide we want to go.
That's deep. That's deep. I never heard that from that perspective. The 5 points in the that's deep. That's some process in there.
You know what I'm saying? It'd be one thing though if it wasn't true, but good idea is a good idea all the time, round the clock. And a bad idea, no matter who putting it out, right?
Right.
So when we understand that, you can knock down everything that we've ever known. These ideas and these concepts will be found again because it's just good ideas, right? Yeah. Not hard and not beyond us.
Right.
In fact, we're built of these things.
It's in us already.
It's in us already.
DNA,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, through our journey, and I pray this for everybody, man, that you find whatever challenge that's going to help you expose your true self. You know what I mean? If that's in the gym, if that's the challenge of being still for a minute, long enough to have a conversation with yourself, if that's the challenge of being cool enough, humble enough to read somebody else's story, somebody's autobiography, somebody else's advice that you might be willing to take it, right? Or listen to somebody's words and their music and be inspired to say, damn, I believe in myself. I'm going to create.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that, yeah.
That's the gifts, man. And with loyalty, faith, and gratitude, you have every answer that you ever needed, right? You don't got nobody to blame no more. But it's not, just because it's not your fault, that don't mean it's not your responsibility, right?
Wow. Okay.
A lot of things happen to us.
I like that.
Not your fault, right?
Yeah. But it's our responsibility is to pick it up and move forward again. And to move the ball forward. Yeah.
Right.
I like that in our community. It's our responsibility to do or say something. I hear that a lot from artists, I'm not a role model. I'm not responsible. I'm like, you're a role model. You open your mouth and you put something out. You know for a fact. And after your first album or your first single, and you see the influence you have on people, you are a role model. You cannot tell me that these little kids today are not singing your song because they want to not be like you. They see what you're doing, and then you're influencing them. So that needs to change in the culture as well too. But I was gonna say, so moving forward with you as a person in your career and your business and your brand, what do you have? What's it look like for you?
Really, I'm trying to develop myself as an entrepreneur. Okay, and make sure that I have, like I said, both sides of the coin, right? So I'm partnering with friends and loved ones and people that kind of see the vision with me and share my acumen, to want to build these things better. Even in the space we're in right now, the West Side Museum is a project that I'm getting involved with, so that we can build a center for space for people to be able to better self-express. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And it's gonna be magic. I'm looking forward to the day when it's look at what we did, not talking about what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Love it. Love it. All right, man. Great conversation.
Always a pleasure, my guy. Always a treat.
Always, man. Always. Thank you.
A blessing, my
Thanks for joining us today on A Conversation with Tobias by Langston Parker. See you next week.